This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, guys, thank you for joining the Microsoft SCCM online training session. My name is Kashif. I am from India. I have 13 years of practical IT experience. I have trained more than 8,000 students globally. I am CCNA, MCTS, MCSA, MCSC certified professional. I have expertise on SCCM, Intune, Active Directory application packaging, Azure PowerShell. Um, I am a BSc IT graduate. I completed my graduation from Mumbai University here in India, and later on I started working as a system administrator. So I worked on application packaging side, I worked on Active Directory side, I worked on Microsoft Azure and SCCM. My primary focus has been SCCM ever since I started working in system administrator profile. Now, my primary roles and responsibility is basically I'm working as a system SCCM architect, wherein I have to deploy SCCM. I have deployed SCCM to more than 35 companies so far. So that's about me, guys. That's my primary roles and responsibility. Now, let me take you to the next slide. This is going to be 35 hours of training in total. So every day we will do like 1.5 hour session, Monday to Friday. It's going to take 4 weeks to finish all the topics. Okay. Monday to Friday, we'll do 1.5 hour session. We'll have a theory plus practical both. Okay. In this session. That's the weekday session. The weekend session is we do 3 hours on Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday, and that's gonna take 6 weekends to finish topics. That is 12 days. Okay, is uh, is it clear, guys?
Yes.
Now let's talk about the SCCM history. So SCCM started as SMS, System Management Server. So that is the old name of SCCM. Okay, this is the old name of SCCM, System Management Server. And it started in 1994 as SMS 1.0, later on SMS 2.0, then SMS 2003. Then Microsoft changed the name from SMS to SCCM, System Center Config Manager. System Center is a family name, and Config Manager is the product inside System Center. So inside System Center, we have other products like SCOM, SCVM, SCSM. Similarly, Config Manager is one of the products inside System Center. So Microsoft released SCCM 2007 in the year 2007. Later on, SP1, SP2, SP3, like SCCM 2007, SP1, SP2, SP3. Then in the year 2012, they released SCCM 2012. Later on, with updated version. Now they stopped these naming conventions like SP1, SP2, R2. Now they are going with year and month. So as you see, 15 is what? Year, and 11 is month. So 15 November. So they are going with this term now, year and month. Now in the year 2016, they released these three versions: 1602, 1606, and 1610. Similarly, in the year 2017, they released these three versions: 1702, 1706, and 1710. And in the year they released 2018, 1802, 1806, and 1810. Now in this year, they have released 1902, 1906, and 1910. These are the versions released by Microsoft so far, ever since it started. So it started as an SMS 1.0 in 1994, and the latest and greatest version of SCCM is 1910. So it's like SCCM is there in the in the market for the past 25 years now. It's a matured product and been deployed in thousands and thousands of companies all over the globe. And millions of computers and devices are being managed through SCCM tool. Clear, guys, in SCCM historical details?
Yes.
Clear? Is my voice breaking up or clear?
No,
It's good.
good.
It is good for me.
Okay, the certification details. Microsoft is conducting this exam 70-703, and the cost of this exam is 160 US dollar. And total marks, you have to score at least 700 out of 1000 to pass this exam, and you will get this MCTS certificate if you complete this certificate properly. So that's the examination details. Okay, now let's talk about the opportunities in SCCM. So we have SCCM like holds 43% of market share. Okay, um, that people who are working as system administrator on SCCM profile, they are earning somewhere around 45 US dollar as per hour as per the statistic. Um, and we have a lot of opportunities in Indeed and ICE job portals. These are two job portals in US and Canada. Okay, so that's the average salary, 45 US dollar per hour as per the statistic. We have other tools as well, which are like similar to SCCM, like IBM Big Fix, right? We have Altiris, we have Landesk. Okay, there are other tools available, but the SCCM actually tops the list, and it's being utilized all over the globe, and millions of computers are being managed through SCCM. Okay, so that's the current statistic of SCCM. So SCCM is going to stay in the market for at least 10 years. In case if somebody, some other product comes in which can which is better than SCCM, for example. Currently we don't have any other product as such, but in case if some other product comes in the market and which is better than SCCM, then it's going to take at least 10 years to remove SCCM from the market, but we don't have any other product which is like better than SCCM at the moment. So it's a safe technology if you are planning to go in SCCM field. So the market is status is good at the moment, and the future is also good for this SCCM product. Okay, any questions so far, guys? Anyone?
No.
Okay, so in SCCM we have three sites. One is central administration site, second one is primary site, and third one is secondary site. The central administration site is optional site. Primary site is mandatory site. That means without primary you cannot manage devices. Okay, it has to be there. And secondary site is also an optional site. You may or may not have secondary, you may or may not have central administration site. So these two sites, central and secondary, they are needed only on certain condition. If you don't have that condition, you don't need them. Okay, but primary has to be there. It is like it major role in SCCM. Without this, you cannot proceed further. So three sites in SCCM. Okay, central, primary, and secondary. Primary is mandatory. secondary and central is the secondary and central are optional site. Now, why do we need a central administration site? Central administration site, you need to understand this. It's an optional site. That's the first point you have to note. The second point, why do we need a central administration site? What is the main criteria for a central administration site to exist? The central administration site exists because of these two reasons. If the number of devices you are going to manage is more than 100,000, okay? Suppose you are running a company which has like more than 100,000 devices, then you need central administration site. And the second requirement is when you have more than one primary site. So in case if you have total number of devices, so more than 100,000 devices, right, and more than one primary site, so you have like two primary site or three primary site, then you need central administration site. So basic criteria for central administration site to exist is these two reasons, okay, which I will explain later on in more details. For now, you just understand that it's an optional site. The second is the requirement because of more than 100,000 devices and more than one primary site. The third point you need to note is it needs a SQL database. Okay, so it has to have a separate database server so that it can store all the data into that database. Okay, then it does not process client data, and it does not support client assignment. That means SCCM is a server, and you have like SCCM server here. This is your server, and you have like devices. Let's say there are 2,000 devices in Mumbai, 3,000 devices in New York. In every device, you have to install client, SCCM client in each and every computer. Server and client. So SCCM is server and client facing tool. So client will, suppose you have cache server here, SCCM Central Administration Site Server. The client will never talk to cache server. The client will never talk to cache server. That's the point I have mentioned here, that it does not process client data. It does not support client assignment. Clients are not assigned to cache server. Clear? Understood, guys? So that's the
Yes.
point number 4. You
Yes.
have to make a note of it. Now let's talk about primary site. What is primary site? This is the main site in SCCM. Okay, as you see, this is mandatory site. The second one is it manages client in well-connected network. It is also needed. It also needs a SQL Server database. So that's the point number 2. Point number 3 is it needs a SQL Server database, and it supports client assignment. For example, you have SCCM primary site. Let's say SCCM primary site, and you have devices. Let's say 5,000 devices are there. So you have to install client in each and every computer. And that client will always talk to primary site and always be assigned to primary site. Okay, the client cannot talk to cache server. That is not possible. Okay, client always talk to this one, primary site. This is the main site in SCCM, and it needs a database to store all the data. So we have database here, and it store everything inside in database. Clear? All good?
Yes.
Yes.
And it manages devices on local LAN network. Okay, so suppose you have devices located in New York location, right? And you don't have any branch offices, just one location. So you need one primary site that is called standalone primary site, which will be managing devices in New York location, right? So basically, what you have to understand that it manages this point. It manages client in well-connected network, which has a good bandwidth. Okay, if the devices does not have good bandwidth, for example, branch offices devices, the devices which are on WAN network, which are not located in the same region where primary site is located, then we need secondary site for those devices. Okay, so primary site is basically you need to understand again, it's a mandatory site. The second thing is it manages a client in well-connected network. Third point is it has to have it needs a separate SQL Server database, and it support client assignment. The clients are assigned to primary site. Now secondary site is basically an optional site. Okay, that's point number one. And secondary site is needed when your device is on remote location to control the network bandwidth. So for branch offices, suppose you have a headquarter in New York and branch offices in Mumbai, London, Mexico. So in order to manage the devices in Mumbai, London, and Mexico, you need secondary site. And if the number of devices is more than 500, right, on a remote location, then you must need a secondary site. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
point number
Got
one. Point number two, it manages devices on remote location. Point number three, it needs it also needs a database. So either you can go with SQL Express or SQL Server database. Normally we go with SQL Express because that is free of cost. You don't have to pay anything. So that's point number three. Okay. Um, it replicates its data with primary site database in file-based replication fashion. Okay, so whatever the data it collects from that branch offices, it will replicate its data with primary site database. Okay, then it does not support client assignment. The client are not assigned to this one. Okay, however, it collects the inventory of the devices from that branch offices, which I'll explain you later on, but it does not support client assignment. Okay, clients are always assigned to primary site. So that's point number 4. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
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 Now the capability of primary, central, and secondary sites. The central administration site supports up to maximum 700,000 devices. One central administration site, this is one central administration site, supports up to 700,000 devices. One primary site supports up to maximum 100,000 devices. But now the latest version of SCCM, which has increased to 175,000 devices. One primary site can support one PS can support 175,000 devices. One cache server can support 700,000 devices. And one secondary site can support up to 5,000 devices. But the latest version of SCCM, so one secondary site supports up to 15,000 devices in branch offices in remote location. Clear,
Yes.
everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's the capability. Okay, when you are planning to implement SCCM, you need to find out how many devices you have in total. Okay, if your devices is less than 175,000 devices, then you can go with one primary site. You don't need a central administration site. This is not needed. Okay, and if you have branch offices, then only you choose secondary site. Otherwise, it's not needed. So that's the capability of primary, central, and secondary site. Now this has three architectural diagrams. The one is the first one is for small size company. Okay, the second one is for medium size company. The third one is for big size company. So suppose if you have only one location, no other branch offices, it's a small size company, right? And only one location. let's say in New York, sorry, in Houston, you have like 50,000 devices to manage, right? In Houston, you have 50,000 devices. So you need one primary site, and that will manage all the devices in Houston. So a standalone primary site is needed. Okay, so that's the architectural diagram for small size companies. Now suppose you expanded your business and you have 50,000 devices in Houston, let's say 3,000 devices in Seattle and 5,000 devices in Boston. So in order to manage the devices in Seattle and Boston, what you need? You need secondary site here,
Yes.
because these are on remote location, right, on WAN network, and chances are very high that the network bandwidth is not as good as the local LAN network. So in order to control the network bandwidth, we need to have secondary site in branch offices, and these secondary site will be reporting to primary site. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the third picture, so in this one, first one contains only primary site, the second one contains primary site plus secondary site. This is the second picture. Now the third one contains your central administration site, primary site, and secondary site. For example, you have 300,000 devices. Let's assume that you have 300,000 devices, 100,000 devices in America, another 100,000 devices in Europe, another 100,000 devices in Asia Pacific. So we need three primary site number 1, primary site 2, and primary site 3. And all these primary site will report to central administration site. Why we need central administration now? Because we have more than 100,000 devices, and we have more than one primary site, right? We have 3 primary site basically here. That's the reason. The moment you add more than one primary site and more than 100,000 devices, you may install, you can go with central administration site. Central will be sitting on the top of the hierarchy, and then primary, and then secondary. Clear?
Yes.
So this example,
Yes.
for big size companies, you have central administration site plus primary site plus secondary site. These are servers, guys, which you install on Windows Server. Okay, so you take Windows Server, right? That is, let's say this is Windows Server, and you install primary side. Let's say you want this on primary, so you install primary side. Another server, you cannot install two, like primary and secondary on the same server. That's not possible. Okay, so you take another server and you install secondary side. Another server, you install CAS. Okay, on Windows Server. Okay, any question? Anyone?
No. No.
What's the difference between standalone and the primary? Is there any?
Standalone and primary.
Yeah,
When you don't have any sites apart from primary site, that is called a standalone primary site.
that's
That
it,
is
right?
only one primary site. Huh?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Standalone means it is like a standing alone. It does not have any sites apart from that one.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
Another example, same example as big size company. CAS is sitting on the top of the hierarchy. Then you have primary site. 2 primary sites are there. Now both will report to this, and these secondary side will report to this primary, these secondary side will report to this primary. Okay,
Okay.
now every site contains database, whether it is secondary, primary, or central, all contains database. So the data what secondary site collects, it replicates its data with primary site. From downward, the replication of SCCM database happens from downward to upward. So every data which whatever the data secondary site collects, it will roll up to primary site database, and primary site database will roll up to central administration site. So all data will be present here in CAS database, CAS DB. This is called like master database, which contains the information of all primary, secondary, and all primary and secondary devices. Okay.
So you don't, Kashif, you don't need WSUS server when you have SCCM.
Yeah, WSUS is like another component which is used for patch deployment, which also needs a database, a separate database for WSUS. Okay.
Okay.
So you need to integrate a WSUS into SCCM using software update point. Okay.
Okay.
And whatever the software updates are present in WSUS, those will be synchronized in software update point in SCCM, and through SCCM you can deploy updates to the devices. Okay.
Okay.
Which I will explain you later on. Okay. So this is how the database replication happens. These are the site roles which we will talk about later on. Okay, I'm not going into details for these roles. We'll do it later on tomorrow. Um, now, suppose if you are going to implement SCCM, or if SCCM is already implemented in your company, then what all things you can achieve through SCCM? So first thing, you can do asset management. Asset management is a big task in company, to find out how many devices are there, how many devices have 2 GB of RAM, how many devices are HP computers, how many devices are Dell computers, what are the models of those computers, right? What all software installed on those computers. So it's a big task, right? You don't need any other product. It is SCCM is the one which can scan all the computers. The agent which are installed, SCCM client which are installed in the computers, will scan all the computers, right, and send the information back to the SCCM server, that number of devices and the Dell computers, HP computers. So you will have everything in the SCCM database, hardware and software inventory. Asset intelligence for categorization of software. You can get the category, software category, which software falls under which category. Also you can manage license through this. So asset intelligence is one of the features in SCCM. Software metering, to monitor the software utilization. Let's say I would like to know in the month of November how many what is the utilization details of Adobe Acrobat Professional, or Altova XML Spy application, or any other product. Okay, so it's going to give you the status of that product, that in the month of November this application was utilized in these computers, right? Number of times, number of minutes, number of days. It will give you all those details. The second major task of SCCM is you can deploy application. Either it is one computer or thousands and thousands of computers. You can deploy application simultaneously in all computer, or you can schedule the deployment. So it will take those policies, and during that time, whatever you define the deployment, whatever you define during the deployment, it will take those policies and deploy the application on the computers. You can deploy updates like patch deployment. to all the computers. You can deploy operating system. You can manage contents. These are the contents which you can manage through SCCM. You can find out how many computers are compliant and how many computers are non-compliant based on certain baseline. You can create one baseline, anything of your choice, and then you will ask SCCM client to find out the compliance against that baseline, and you will get the list of computers. Let's say compliance count. Let's say 100 computers are compliant, and then you have non-compliance, right? It will like 20 computers are non-compliant against that baseline. So that is also possible through SCCM. Power management, you can create power policy. For example, if after 7 o'clock in the evening, you don't want to keep the computers turned on, so put them into sleep mode or hibernate mode just to reduce the electricity cost, right? So you can do through SCCM. Client health, it gives you a dashboard of client healthiness, whether the client are healthy or unhealthy. Endpoint protection, you deploy antivirus. Endpoint protection is already integrated into SCCM. You don't need to purchase third-party software like Norton, Symantec, or AVG or any other antivirus tool. Endpoint protection is already integrated in SCCM. Mobile device management, you can manage your mobile devices like iPhone, iOS, Android devices. Administrative feature of SCCM is basically role-based administration. Suppose if Leon is good with patch deployment, right? So I'm going to give him patch deployment role. If Preeti is good with operating system deployment, so I'm going to give her operating system deployment role. So based on the expertise of the people, we have certain roles available in SCCM. So people who are assigned that role will be able to perform only those tasks. Okay. Uh, Similarly, you can create your custom role as well. Suppose if you are not going to take the default role, we can create customized role for you, okay, in SCCM. Remote management, you can remote into users devices through SCCM. Reporting, you get a you have good formats of reporting like Excel, CSV, Word, PDF. Those are the formats to get the reports. And monitoring, you can monitor the SCCM server and the components and the site roles. If anything goes wrong, you will get an alert. So you don't need a third-party tool. SCCM monitoring uh, component or SCCM monitoring feature will help you to monitor the SCCM site and site roles. So these are the basic three functionalities of SCCM. There are many more functionalities of SCCM which I have not mentioned here, but these are like basic ones. Now, when we go in the training, I want you guys to set up your lab either on local laptop or on Azure. Suppose if you're going on local laptop, then you need to have this configuration: 12 gigabyte of RAM, quad core processor, and 300 GB of hard drive, hard disk size. That's your minimum configuration, either on desktop or laptop. If you do not have this one, for example, the computer which you are using that does not have these configuration, then that's okay. You just need to create virtual machines in Microsoft Azure Cloud Data Center, and whatever the computer you have, you can remotely connect to these computers. Okay, no matter whatever the configuration, you just need one computer with internet connection. And so you need to have Azure free trial for that, and that is 30 days free trial. Okay.
Okay.
And you don't have to pay anything for the first 30 days. After 30 days, if you would like to continue, then you will have to start paying to Microsoft. But for first 30 days, you don't have to pay anything. It will be free of cost. Okay, either on Azure or AWS cloud or Google cloud, or there are many products in the market, but I prefer Azure because Azure is also moving like a monster now. So you, in this training, you will be able to at least understand 20% of Azure as well. Okay, how to create virtual machines, how to take a snapshot, how to create disk, how to create virtual machine through the snapshot. Okay, so how to create resource groups and virtual networks and all. That's the lab setup requirement. So every one of you will have to have a lab, okay, either on local or Azure cloud data center. And the lab architecture will be like, let me just show you lab architecture. You will have one primary site, SCCM primary site, and we will have one database server, right? One domain controller server, and we will have a Windows 10 server. I mean Windows 10 computer, sorry, Windows 10. Okay, and we will have one secondary site later on, not initially, but later on we will add SCCM secondary site. Okay, and all will be on the same LAN network, right? And we will be installing client in each and every computer. So we'll have the client in here, we will have the client here. SCCM client will be installed in each and every computer, and then we can these client will talk to the server, right? And you will be able to get your hardware software inventory. You will be able to deploy application, patch deployment, operating system deployment. You know, you will be able to do almost everything through this whatever the lab we are going to create. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
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 So we'll have 3 Windows server and 1 client computer initially, and later on we will add 1 more server, a secondary site. Any question, guys? Anyone?
No.
Not me. So the timing will be 8 p.m. EST to just like it was today to 9 p.m. right? And how long it will take? Like how long is the this course is? Like 1 month, 2 months?
Okay, I think you missed that one. You see, I talked about this one. So timing
Okay.
will be, yeah, 8 o'clock EST, Eastern Standard Time. So 8 to 9:30 daily Eastern Standard Time. India time it is 6:30 morning.
Mhm.
Okay, India.
Okay.
And that's gonna take 28 days. That is 4 weeks training. So total like 1 month will complete all the topics. 1 month.
Okay. Hmm. Because until 15th I am fine, but after 15th I will be placed in the night shift and 7 p.m. Because it was 8 p.m. on my side. So 15th.
15th of December.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so
I think yeah we can start,
then
and then after that after.
yeah, no worries. I can take you in the different batch, or that's we can plan accordingly. That's not a problem. You need to let me know the timing well in
Okay.
advance so that we can plan accordingly.
Okay. A
Okay.
question.
Okay. Yes.
So Kashif, so how good is the certification materials, like the dumps for the certification?
Uh, the dumps which I have, um, I I have been checking with my students. So they said at least 65% is coming through that dumps, or
Is
whatever
that
the
right?
dumps I have.
Okay.
65%.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay.
And rest you can do the practicals and assignment. At least don't rush for exam. You have to wait for at least get yourself a little confident enough,
Right.
at least like after like 1 month, you do all the assignments and then you go to exam, and then you will be able to clear that one.
Understood.
Okay,
All right.
any other question, guys? Anyone? Okay, so those who are going to join from tomorrow onwards, I am kindly make a note of my 98923543331. This is my WhatsApp number. Okay, send me a hi message so that I can create a group. Okay, for this batch, and then we can for our internal communication we can use this WhatsApp group. Okay, any other question, guys? Anyone?
How
Preeti?
about the assignments? I mean, it is on the daily basis or is the topic wise? So we should learn.
It will be topic wise, but it will be daily basis. Every day, not in the initial stage, because initially we will be installing SCCM. Like first week, from tomorrow onwards, we will start doing the practicals. I mean, creating servers and installing SCCM. So from next week onwards, we'll focus on the assignments. Okay.
Okay.
One more thing is we are going on 2016, right? SCCM. So is there any different? Can you show us the differences on the previous versions? Like most
Yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
companies have 2012, and so that's
Mm-hmm. Don't worry about it. I'll let you know what all changes uh, changes are there in 2012 and 2016, and you will get to know yourself as well as soon as you start working on the console. So that's not a problem.
great. Yeah. And
Okay. Anything
recordings, Karthik?
else? Yeah.
Recordings,
Recording you will.
recordings, Karthik?
Yeah, I'll be sharing the recording after each session. That's the reason we need to create one WhatsApp group. So after each session, I will share the recording links so that you can download the recording.
And
Okay.
you told in your previous recordings, like you have a one WhatsApp group, like previous students for.
Yeah, I will add you once this training is over. Then I will add you to my bigger group wherein all my students are there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any other question from anyone?
Not as of now.
Okay, guys. So you guys need to make payment if you have not done so. Okay. Um,
Okay.
from tomorrow onwards, we will start same time. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Great.
All
Sure.
right.
All right.
Thank
Okay,
you.
guys.
Thank you,
Thank you
Kashif.
for
Thank
joining the
you.
session. I hope the session was informative. We'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Kashif.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.